mosquito. Well, let's give this a minute to do its thing. It's kind of funny. This doesn't always start recording right away when it says it starts. It's probably started by now though. So obviously today, to address the elephant in the room, today is Christmas, which isn't a particularly big deal for me. I don't do anything super special. You know, I hang out with my kids and stuff who are outside right now, but yeah, we've been hanging out this morning. Anyway, let's see. My Christmas present to myself today is that if anyone asks me to do something, the answer is no. For the entire day, the answer is no. I'm not doing it. Whatever anyone asks me to do, the answer is no. Hello, Shadowmancer. I hope you're having a good day with your family or your people or whoever you've got. Let's see, who else is here? I do have something to talk about today. I'm not going to make it super long because I'm going to presume that people are generally speaking with their families. There's a mosquito in here. Where are these? Okay, got it. You know, people are busy today, but there is something I wanted to talk about briefly because not everyone is spending time with their family. There are a few people out there who are spending the holidays by themselves, and I'll get to that in a minute. Well, a few minutes. You know, there are some people who are spending the holidays by themselves, and even if you don't make a big deal about the holidays or anything, it's still hard to notice, or it's hard to not notice that you're by yourself when you're having a holiday by yourself. Now, I have had my fair share of lonely holidays. Wait, here it is. Oh, look at that. I got him right there. Totally dead. Oh, I've just committed murder, but that's okay because he would have sucked the blood out of me. So I've had my fair share of lonely holidays, Christmases where I was totally by myself. So anyone else who's in this position right now, you know, just want you to know there are other people out there who either are spending their holidays by themselves or have. And I'll tell you a little bit of my story about some of my alone Christmases to maybe give you a little bit of that Christmas cheer hope, whatever that means. So I had a whole string of several years where I had holidays by myself, all my holidays by myself. And it was because it's the part of my life where I changed my direction drastically and started going down a path that was a pretty lonely path at the beginning because it kind of turned away from everything I'd grown up with, everything I'd been told and everything I learned. And I was like, I'm going down this path. It's going to be a lonely path because I don't see anyone else on it. And I'm probably going to have to spend like a decade or something, largely just being by myself. And maybe I'll slowly find some new people who are compatible with this other life path. But I'm going on this life path, which basically means I'm leaving behind all the people I know, all my family and everything. Not in a harsh way or an impolite way. It's just, I know I'm diverging from everyone. So at that point, I knew I was going to be spending a lot of time by myself. And I did. I spent several years, probably somewhere around a decade with alone Christmases and holidays and stuff like that. But it was okay because I felt like I was working towards something. Like I was on this path and it was a lonely path, but I felt like it was headed towards something that was worthwhile. And I'm sure there are some people out there right now who are in that situation who've kind of gotten themselves onto a path that's kind of a lonely path, and they're hoping they're going towards something that's better. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my better. So it took a lot of work and a lot of spending time alone and a lot of, dealing with frustrations and tackling obstacles. But today I would say I'm at least started on almost everything I want to do in my life. Like there are a few things that are just totally absent, but overall, I've moved to a place that I love. I'm living on this island. It's actually a pair of islands, two little islands in the Caribbean, and I love it here. the climate's amazing. I love the ocean. I love boats. I love this whole thing. And this seemed like such a far off dream. Not that long ago, like 10 years ago, this whole thing seemed absolutely ridiculous. Like, even at the point when I sold my place in the United States and started traveling, I was like, I'm going for it, but like, I have no idea if this is going to work out. But, I just kept sticking to the path, doing what I thought was right, regardless of what everyone else thinks. And I got to this place where I want to be. And I really love this place and I want to be here. And then even, building this house, this giant cathedral thing. Okay, it's not giant for a cathedral, but it's my own cathedral, and I built it with my own hands. It seemed like it was something that was kind of like a little bit outside of what was reasonably possible, but I just kept going down this path. And yes, it was a lonely path, but I kept taking the steps one step at a time, and got to this place where I had this amazing place, and my kids love it here. This morning, they spent, I don't know, probably an hour and a half running laps around the middle of the house, because the house is big enough. Even in the middle of the house, you can run laps around it. It's pretty good. And that's because the other day we watched a video of a cheetah, because I mentioned to my kids that, their cheetahs run like 80 miles an hour. I don't remember what the number is, but it's something ridiculous like that. It's something ridiculous like 80 miles an hour or something. I don't know what the number is. But they were like, what? That's crazy. And so I showed them a video of it, and we got this really good video of a cheetah running for like 25 seconds. And it started powering up, and it was going, and it seemed like it was going ridiculously fast. But it kept getting faster and faster and faster, and you could tell the camera guy was having a tough time keeping on this freaking bolt of lightning going through the grass. And you can see the grass and the trees just, and this cheetah's just, whoa! Anyway, so right after that, my kids, 3 of them anyway, were like, yeah, I'm gonna run like a cheetah. And at first my 4-year-old got on all fours, and he's running around the house. And then he realized, no, it actually works faster if I run on my 2 legs. So the last couple days, there's been a lot of sprinting around the house like a cheetah. Anyway, well, having all these amazing kids and all this stuff that I love in my life, and right now I'm building some machines that I'm very excited about, because I've been doing a lot of digging and concrete building and stuff, which I love that stuff too. I just haven't built a machine in a while. And the other day I machined something on the lathe, like not just some crappy little thing, like a real thing. Like I was at it for like an hour with the lathe and just precision. Ooh, oh, it was amazing. I love building machines. So, and all this happened because I went down this path that started out as a very lonely path. And I did spend a whole bunch of holidays by myself. And so, if you're in a position right now where you're spending some holidays by yourself because you're working on something, I just want to give you a little bit of extra hope that you can get to some pretty cool places if you just stick to what you think, and don't back down just because there's social pressure and maybe you have to spend some time alone. So don't worry about spending some holidays alone. Obviously it's more fun to be with your family and friends and stuff, but just for the people who are stuck by themselves, just stick to your thing, man. Keep doing your thing, and you're gonna get somewhere really cool. All right, let's see what people are talking about here. I gotta use this hand. Oh yeah, I usually have my camera on that side, but it's on this side now because I flipped it for some reason. How are things going with the dragon scales? Well, all 4 of my kids have been at my house almost every day for like the last, I don't know, a few weeks. I don't know, Deshana's been busy doing some other stuff. And she's like, here, take the kids. And I'm like, the kids can stay at my house all they want, anytime they want. Normally it's like 50-50, but yeah, they've been here a lot. And I don't like going up on the roof when I have the 2-year-old here. Just because it's too much of a distraction, Like if the older kids are here, even my 4-year-old, if my 4-year-old is here, and usually if my 2 middle kids are here, they play together very well, very calmly, and they can play together with Lego for hours with no fights or anything. So when the 2 of them are here, I'll go up on the roof and work on it. But like if my 2-year-old's here, and kind of sometimes if my 12-year-old's here, because she's a little feisty. She starts some crap sometimes. She kind of starts fights, so I got to keep an eye on her. But anyway, so I haven't gone up on the roof in a while. But I did finish that one row not too long ago. And this week, you know, the kids will be at Deshana's for at least a few days. And if I get a good cloudy day, I'm going to go up on the roof and start doing the next row. But the roof is going amazing. Like, I can tell, like, the whole outer edge of my roof, or of my house, like probably halfway in toward the middle, there are no drips at all, nothing. So nothing's getting through the dragon scales. Still a little bit of drips toward the middle of the house where I haven't done it yet. But they seem to be going very well. And now I'm at the point where, you know, I started real wide and it's getting smaller and smaller. So now my rows around are significantly smaller than when I started. So it's kind of accelerating. Even though I have to climb higher, I think it's still accelerating. Anyway, I haven't worked on it in a bit. That sounds like a great Christmas present to yourself. It is a great Christmas present because, you know, I'm just gonna tell the truth right now. Deshana came over to grab the kids and she's like, hey, can you take a look at my boat motor? Because she has this really cool pedal boat that I built years ago. And then she put, well, okay, I put it on. But she found the parts and, you know, got them here and everything. She got some batteries, solar panels, a charge controller for the batteries, and like a trolling motor. And then came over, you know, and got me to put it all on this little pedal boat. So now she has a powered pedal boat, kind of like mine, but not as cool. No, it is actually pretty cool because hers has batteries, so she can drive in the dark. Although I think with my leg power, I can still beat her even if she's on her motor. Anyway, so this morning she came over and it's like, you know, I need to get my propeller a little deeper in the water. Can you take a look? So I went out and, you know, looked at it and screwed around with it for 10 or 15 minutes and, you know, got the motor to go a little bit deeper in the water and adjusted some other stuff to make some little improvements. Because whenever I see something I can improve, I have to do it. And I'm like, there, hey, your propeller's deeper. It should make fewer bubbles and splash less. This is great, right? And then she's immediately like, well, can you move my batteries? And I'm like, why do you need your batteries moved? Well, I just want to move them because it's kind of uncomfortable driving with them there. And at that point, I was just like, oh, you know what? You're just going to have to suffer for a couple more days in this agonizing discomfort of your batteries just being where you don't want them to be. So, and yeah, because I wasn't about to go out there and climb around our boat and move these giant batteries. I have to pull all the wires off and everything. So anyway, yeah, for the rest of today, my Christmas present to myself is no. The answer is no. I'm not doing anything. I'm not fixing anyone's thing or readjusting or no. The answer is no. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna work on my own stuff, and I'm gonna do this. Oh, and actually, Deshana was asking me like 3 minutes before I came on here to do a thing, and that's when I was like, no, I have a thing I have to go do, and you know that. So you guys kind of gave me an excuse. Good work. Although I was already saying no anyway. Anyway, okay. Happy birthday, Jesus. My Christmas is usually spent alone. I'm glad to have the Jaimie show to keep me company. What better than to spend some time with a kindred spirit like Jaimie? Well, that's great. Classic dude Mike. That's who we're talking about. Yeah, I was thinking maybe I shouldn't do one of these today because it's Christmas. Everyone's going to be with their family. And I was like, no, we're going to do this. Of course I'll do this. I also tried to upload some extra videos, which I haven't always done during the holidays. But these holidays, I'm feeling extra better, extra good compared to the last few years. And I think it's just because of how well the last couple years have gone. Like I moved into my house this year, I think, earlier. I've been in my house roughly a year. And oh man, my general happiness, contented level has been rising like the whole year, and my stress level has been decreasing the whole year. Because for a while I was just getting too stressed out, you know, just and yeah. But then, man, I'm loving this. This is going really well. So yeah, maybe that's why I felt like during the holidays I could upload a couple extra videos. So I uploaded one this morning, and okay, I missed the machine build videos. Really liked the dozer. Well, I've got some more machine building videos right now. I'm working on this lumber mill. I started the lumber mill, and it is going really well. So on the lumber mill, the hardest parts to build are like everything between the motor and the blade. Like basically connecting the motor to the blade without it all vibrating and stuff, and having a good connection, and the blade connected in such a way that it's not, you can get deep into the blade on the wood, so it can do pretty deep cuts and all this stuff. But yeah, I guess I made 3 videos of that. One I still have to upload. The second one I uploaded today. But yeah, that whole section went together so smoothly, and it's great. I think it might be because it's something I'd been thinking about for like, I don't know, a year and a half or so, before I actually did it. Usually when I spend a lot of time thinking about something before I actually get to it, when I actually get to it, my brain has already figured out all the details, and then I just do it and everything comes out great. And actually, one of the pieces there where I mounted the motor to the shaft, the motor thing and the shaft of the blade are not the same size, so I had to lathe out a hole to fit it over the shaft. Anyway, I did that on the lathe, and yeah, man, I love machining. And I just did that on the small lathe too. I have 2 lathes, a small one and a big one. I didn't want to turn the big one on because it's been cloudy, but it was sunny the day I was doing that. And I was like, well, I should kind of let the batteries recharge in my house, but I really want to do this. Maybe I can do it on the small lathe, which doesn't use that much power. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to using the big lathe and then the milling machine when I get some more electricity. And right now, blue skies, sunny. Oh, it's beautiful. So yeah, more machines. Oh, and I'm also working on the shark slicer. I'm making the pedals. Okay, so I haven't worked on the pedals for the shark slicer in a week, in case anyone's wondering why I slowed down on that a bit, or why it's taking so long. Because when I did the pedals, I fiberglassed them, and it's still sticky. And to get rid of the sticky surface on fiberglass, you can put it out in the sun, because the sun cures it. The UV light cures the resin faster, so it'll harden it, make it not sticky anymore. But it's been so cloudy that it hasn't happened. So today it's sunny, and I put the 2 pedal parts out in the sun, so hopefully they're becoming unsticky so that I can finish off the pedal part. I'm pretty excited about that, having just a modular set of pedals, and the pedals and the paddle wheel and everything just all on this kind of lightweight thing. I can put it out, because then I can take it out and put it in another boat. If I'd done that all like right from the beginning, I only would have had to make like maybe 2 pedal power things, and I could just switch them to whatever boat I want to use that day. Let's see. Build Tesla ambient energy collector. I know what you're talking about. I could do that. I'm actually has anyone done that and is using it, and kind of like using it on a practical basis and has some feedback on how that's going? Dan Duval is waiting for tomaters. Where is tomaters? We know how those things can snowball. I'm not sure which things you're talking about snowballing, but it might have been the asking me to help. We all want to hear about your bridge. Oh, my bridge. Okay, I'm gonna get some video of the bridge. I've been nervous about showing it, just because there are a lot of local people who watch my videos now. And when I first got here, I was just like, yeah, I can show anything and I don't have to worry about it. But then people start saying like things like, oh, are you allowed to be doing that? Do you have your permits? Are you supposed to be doing that? And I'm always like, this, I'm pretty sure I don't need anything for this. I'm fine with this. But I don't know all the rules. Like, I don't know all the laws and everything. So I never know when I'm going to stumble across some rule I'm not supposed to break. So I'm always nervous about showing any kind of landscaping, even like gardening things. I'm like, I can dig a hole, right? And plant a tree. Like, I'm not supposed to ask for, I don't know though. And there are people, grumpy sons of, who just look for trouble. And it's always Americans. I'm sorry, but it's always Americans, like why are you doing that? Like it's supposed to be the land of the free, and you guys are just not doing it. You're supposed to be doing something else. You're supposed to be doing one thing, but a lot of you are doing the other thing. Yeah, got another mosquito. And I wouldn't even say the majority of people or anything. It's just enough people that it's causing a problem, kind of dragging everyone down. So yeah, kind of stop it. Anyway, I'll try to get a shot of my bridge this week. Do your older kids remember Miss Snow? I asked them once, I asked them recently, and my 12-year-old's like, yeah, I kind of remember Snow. And she described the scene when we were in the backyard of someone's place and she was playing on a swing or something. But the rest of them don't. I mean, my 10-year-old, when we came here, she was like 1.5, something like that, 1 or 2. I don't know. She doesn't remember Snow though. Only my oldest one. We love your spirit and motivation. Your ABC virtues are excellent. Well, I love them too. Oh wait, Shadow Man, so you asked a question way at the beginning. Oh, can you ask it again? I don't want to scroll up because I'm going to lose track of where I am. I'm stoked for more build videos. Yeah. I've been dealing with serious mental burnout. Oh, okay, classic dude Mike. Let me get my, I feel like I need to get a pad of paper and my spectacles. And you can have a seat on the couch. Lay down, get comfortable. I've been dealing with serious mental burnout and discovered I have ADHD with a side order of OCD and depression. Haha, you really help. Thanks for the inspiration, Jaimie. Oh, well, great. You know, I think like you could just about diagnose like everybody with ADHD and OCD now, because and some depression. And I think a lot of it has to do with, well, with screens, like tablets and phones and, you know, the internet. You know, when you're always dealing with things in real life, like particularly if you're in nature, you always get this reasonable feedback, and you never get instant gratification. It's not a thing. I mean, I shouldn't say it's never a thing. You know, you could be walking through the forest and just stumble upon a patch of raspberries, and it's like, oh my gosh, instant gratification, yay, instant raspberries. But generally speaking, when you're dealing with the natural world, there is no instant gratification. Like anything that is gratifying is a long-term benefit. And even if you stumble across some raspberries, like you're not just getting instant, you're not just getting instant gratification. It is gratifying instantly, but then it also gives you, you know, it fuels your body. It gives you nutrients and stuff. It's a longer lasting thing. But now we have this world where people spend so much time looking at screens, and you know, it's just like everything's instant gratification that has no lasting effect. If anything, it ends up dragging you down. So it's just really messing with people's heads. And you know, I noticed this. I got the internet in my house, I don't know, months ago, 4 months ago now. I don't know how long it's been, 3 months ago. I don't know. But there's definitely a difference between my life before I got the internet in my house and after I installed it. And I was hesitant to install it for this exact reason, because now it's like I have instant access to instant gratification. I can go on the internet and just like, it's sort of like pulling a slot machine. Ooh, what's going to be here today? Is there something fun or something interesting, something I can learn? There might be something for me. Give me something. And then, you know, it's like almost always just disappointment, because it's like, oh, that wasn't anything. Well, let me keep looking. It's not anything. I keep looking. And, you know, it's a lot of disappointment and just nothing of real value. So I do a pretty good job of turning the internet off and like only using it once in a while. But even then, like if I'm here by myself in the evening and I go on the internet for an hour after, I'm usually just like, I just kind of like feel a little bit less good than before. So I think a lot of depression and OCD and ADHD comes from just that change of environment where we have this weird portal into this unfulfilling world. And not that I'm saying, you know, nothing can ever be fulfilling on the internet, but the internet is full of unfulfilling, disappointing stuff. That's just, you know, instant gratification, trying to get money from you, you know, nothing of value is coming your way. You're just giving your attention and getting kind of garbage in return for the most part. Of course, there is occasionally a little speck of gold that kind of keeps you coming back. I remember when the internet first started, like I call it the golden age of the internet, where there was no money on the internet. Like there were no businesses or anything. It was just all people's personal websites. And I had a personal website back then. And you could go online and you could find like information about anything. Like things the government didn't want you finding information about, like how they're ruining the economy, or even like dangerous things. Or I mean, you could find anything. It was great. Maybe I shouldn't say anything, but no. Now you go type something in and you just get all the business stuff and all the stuff the search engines want you to find. Yeah, it's not nearly as good as it used to be. Permit rule people are tiresome. Oh, permit rule people are tiresome. Yes, people who are like, it's not even just the permits and the rules people. It's the people who are in your face about it. Like, are you supposed to be doing that? Are you allowed to do that? Because you look like you're having more fun than me and you're enjoying yourself. So I feel like since I'm doing nothing and sitting around on my butt, I need to interfere with you because I have nothing to do, you know. So I'm just going to let the devil play with my hands and try to mess with you because you're busy doing something. So you're not going to be defending yourself, you know. God, those people are the worst. But, you know, they're there. Hi from Minnesota, long-time follower. Thanks for sharing with us. Well, you're welcome, Motasolo. Modular boat pedal power sounds like a great idea. Maybe a universal pedal electric power modular power unit for land and sea. Yeah, I mean, well, the electric power thing is a little bit bigger and more involved because, you know, solar panels, it's like, it takes up a huge area. So making that modular is a little bit trickier. But like a battery powered thing, I could just have like, well, I do actually have a little outboard motor. It's a little 1/4 horsepower outboard motor. And it takes like drill batteries, but it doesn't go super far. I mean, it goes a decent distance. Like it would drive me from here to Shayna's house, no problem. But I never need battery power for that distance anyway. It's not long enough. The time I always want electrical power, it's like when I'm going like hours somewhere. You answered it. Oh, Shadow answer. Great. Oh, is the question about the dragon scales. Okay, I did answer it. Good. Turn off all notifications on your phone. Don't let it keep interrupting your life. That is an excellent, yeah, man. If you have a phone, I don't have any phone and I love it. I love not having a phone. Oh my gosh. And I see other people like, it's just like every time I see other people, they're spending like half their time just like this. And I'm watching them, I'm just like, man, half of your day is just sucked into this thing, and you're just like, oh, I gotta poke the buttons and look at everything, and man, and you don't get anything out of it. Maybe I shouldn't say you don't get anything out of it, but there are so many better things to do than just pay attention to this thing. So yeah, if you can live life without a phone, I highly recommend it. It's amazing. Although I do realize the utility of a phone. And you know what? Get rid of like the fancy smartphone. Get like the dumb brick phone that has the numbers that you push that does phone calls. If I had a phone, that's the kind of phone I would get. I don't need a walking internet machine I can take with me everywhere. Yeah, our tech really plays havoc on our dopamine receptors. It is curious if there will be epigenetic consequences. Well, there are some pretty huge consequences. And the part of the problem is, like, people putting things on the internet know about how to screw with your dopamine, how to get you addicted. You know, the internet has become like the casino. Like, people go on there and it's like, let me pull the lever and see if I get anything. And, you know, it's sort of like if you go on Facebook. You know, I never go to the Facebook main page. I mean, occasionally it happens accidentally, but I always just go to my messages. It's the only thing I ever check. So I don't actually go to the Facebook main page, because if you go to the Facebook main page, it's like you see something, oh, someone wrote a thing. Maybe it's interesting. Oh, no, that wasn't interesting. Oh, wait, there's another one. Maybe that one's interesting. That's nothing I care about. Okay, let me just go a little more, and you can it's just like pulling the lever on the slot machine endlessly. Like, maybe I'll get something that's good. Maybe I'll get something that's good. Maybe I'll get something that's good. And man, it really messes with people's heads. Very addictive. There have been 2 interesting things about hydrofoil recently. Really? A commercially available private electric hydrofoil company. I don't care about that. I build stuff myself. Although I might want to look at their designs and see what they're building. And separately, a remote-controlled toy hydrofoil. Both use sonic sensors to detect wave height. Huh? Well, that's funny. I would want something that doesn't need electronics to detect wave height. I would just want to do that myself. Like if it's too wavy, obviously not use them, or maybe I can ride up and down the waves. I don't know. I'm not on hydrofoils right now. I have other things. I recently sent you a video of Pink Floyd, Welcome to the Machine. It's post-apocalyptic, but there's a giant robot in it saving the last of the living trees. He looks a little like you. Very cool. Ooh, a robot that looks like me? I did get that message. I didn't click on the link, the Pink Floyd video, because it was like 2 in the morning. Because a lot of times I wake up at like 2 in the morning, and then I'll check some messages or whatever and go back to sleep. It's kind of convenient because then I can take my baby and put her on the potty and have her go pee, and then I'm sure she's not going to go pee in her bed, which very rarely happens. So I'm happy about that. But well, I guess one of the other reasons I sometimes wake up at 2 in the morning is because my baby will jump on me for like 5 minutes because she's just like, hey, I'm awake for half an hour and I'm gonna jump on you, and then she falls asleep on my chest, and it's so adorable and cute, and we snuggle, and then she falls asleep. Anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna watch the video later. The interrupt of a notification, yeah, or like a tweet or whatever, strengthens reward pathways that keep you coming back. Yeah, so this is talking about the notifications on your phone. Totally turn off notifications on your phone. This is why almost always I turn off the internet at my house. And I don't have anything that gives me notifications. I just want it turned off so that every time I walk by my computer, I'm not like, oh, maybe I should just turn it on real quick and check. Because now it's like, oh no, I have to turn on the power for the internet, wait a few seconds. I kind of wish it took like 10 minutes to connect, but it works a little bit too well. It's only a few seconds, and then I have to check. Just having an extra step, a layer of barrier between me and the internet is nice to have, because it keeps me from just like, ooh, let me just check for a second. Because you know what happens when you go on the internet just for a second? Yeah, for like 3 hours. I want a brick dumb phone that has a battery that lasts a week plus. I want a brick dumb phone that I have to plug in, that doesn't even have a battery. That way I leave it in one place, and if I go anywhere, I don't take it with me. I do realize the utility of having a communication device on your person anywhere you go, but yeah, it's just too much. I think overall, it's more useful to not have a communication device with you all the time, because it forces you to plan better and think about what you're doing in your day and plan it out better, and figure out where you're going and all that stuff. It also helps you. It also makes it so you don't hang out with people who are unreliable, because unreliable people always carry their phone around so they can cancel. Oh, I'm supposed to be there in 5 minutes. Or 20 minutes ago, sorry, I couldn't make it. My mom died. Oh no, wait, they know my mom. My grandma died, or my dog died. Yeah, I couldn't make it. Okay, bye. But people who don't have phones tend to be much more reliable. Like if they say they're going to be somewhere, generally they're there. Hydrofoils are useless when transporting cargo. That's why I haven't gotten into hydrofoils. Yeah, I mean, it would be great to go one way, but then on the way back, when I have cargo, I'd have to pull the hydrofoils out of the water, and then they become more cargo. So I just feel like it's just going to be better to just not have hydrofoils and spend the extra hour and a half in the first part of the trip and not deal with them on the part where I can't use them. I understand why you don't mess with them. Yeah, so maybe at some point when I'm doing less cargo, maybe when I get my whole island straightened out the way I want it, and I don't need any more cement or rocks or whatever, I don't need any more cargo, heavy stuff, then I might want to make a little personal, maybe like a 1 or 2 seater. either hydrofoil or I think I want to do like a flying machine, a ground effect machine. I mean, of course, I'll see when I get to that point what I end up deciding to do. But if you ask me right now, I'm more interested in making a ground effect vehicle, it's a kind of airplane that just flies low across the ground or across the water. Because if you're right close to the water, as your wings push down the air, the air kind of bunches up against the ground and make it gets puffier. Yeah, this is a scientific term for it. When you're closer to the ground, the air is puffier, so it's easier to fly along, like skim across the ground. And I see birds doing this all the time. It's really cool seeing pelicans. That's like my kid's favorite bird. But they have this huge wingspan, and they fly, and they'll just like come like right down to the bottom of the water, and they'll get to the point where the tips of their wings, and their wings are kind of like this. The tips of their wings will kind of touch a little bit here and there, and just kind of skim across. And man, and then every once in a while they'll flap up a bit, get a bit more speed, and then go right back down because it's really efficient to fly right across, just barely above the water. A wave height sensor sounds very complex. Might be better spent detecting pitch of boat. Yeah, I don't want to have a wave height sensor. That sounds like it's just something asking to break that you have to fix. Merry Christmas, Sue's champion. Ooh, you're a champion. Oh, I mentioned it because it was surprising that two separate sources suggest that wave height sensors were necessary. Necessary, schmalessary. Some people just want to mind other people's business, miserable people. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible when other people just want to get in everyone else's business and not take care of anything of their own. That's one of the major problems in the world today. Like garbage, obviously, just like wasting, maybe that goes in garbage, just wasting stuff in general. And people just starting crap unnecessarily, getting in other people's business, saying, you know what, you should be doing something else because I feel like it. You should be doing something else. It's like, no, you worry about, get yourself straightened out. And that's the thing. The people who are always in your face, they're always a disaster because they're not paying attention to themselves. They're not fixing themselves or improving themselves. They're just trying to climb up your butt, Good morning, Jaimie. 18 below here in the Midwest. Yes, Celsius. When you get that far down in the negatives, it doesn't really matter if it's negative Celsius or Fahrenheit. What does it overlap at, like negative 40 or something? So I guess it matters still a little bit, but still, negative 18 Celsius or Fahrenheit is cold. Please show outside where it's beautiful. Oh, let's go outside. Here, let me disconnect my little power thing. All right, we're going for a walk. I'll try to keep steady so we don't get too pixely. Of course, when I move around, the whole screen has to keep up and the pixels can't keep up. Okay, let's switch our camera to the forward-facing camera. Oh, my hand's in the way. Oh, let's see what we got here. Oh, look at that. Nice sunny day. Oh, let me just... So there's the zombie chopper. That's the most fun boat to drive because it's fast and it's really got a really comfortable seat. I like the pedals. Doesn't hold much cargo, but it's really, really fun to drive. And then up here, oh, blue sky, look at that. And yeah, totally sunny. This here is the mold for the fiberglass domes. It's just being stored right here. This mold here leaning up against a tree, well, it's two molds. That one is the mold for the bottom of one of my boats. And this mold here, this one on this side, is the mold for the top of like almost all my boats. Like even this one, this is the same top as, well, that boat over there behind all the green stuff. Anyway, you want to see a little bit more? Let's see. What else is there to look at out here? I can't go too far away because we'll start losing signal. Maybe I can get a shot of my bridge. Hold on. Okay. Oh, let's see. It's hard for me to see the screen because it's too dark. Yeah, I think my bridge is right back. Yeah, right there. Here's the bridge. And it's got the dirt coming up, going right over, and then it stops. And it's almost up to that other land over there. Try to keep that steady so it's visible. And then down here, I've got a papaya tree, which looks like it's doing pretty good, which is great because this big papaya tree has no partner. It needs at least one other papaya tree to be able to make fruit. And right now I've got that one. And then there are two little ones down here. Oh, and this is an oregano plant, otherwise known as oregano. Delicious. This is the big leaf oregano. And then inside these little things are pepper plants, which seem to be surviving. The crabs have not eaten them now that I put these things on them. And I can see a leaf of one thing in here. That might be a watermelon. I think this one has watermelon in it. Anyway, here's my banana trees. One of those, actually probably both of those, will make bananas pretty soon. I'm not sure when, but soonish. And then up here, I've got coconuts. I eat a coconut pretty much every day. Had one this morning. All right, let's go. Let's go back inside. And oh, here, let me show you some of my coconut. Sorry, I'm moving around. I know when I move around, it starts getting pixely, but oh, here's my coconut from this morning. A bunch of it I used in what's it called? In some cereal that the kids and I had. But the rest of that coconut there, I'm going to use to make sourdough. Let me see if there's anything else I should show while I'm out here walking around. Well, here's let me turn this around again. Here's the parts for the lumber mill. And the saw blade goes on here. That was the first lumber mill video. I got that on. This piece here did not originally fit on this shaft. So I had to root out the middle of it, carve out the middle like 1/8 of an inch to get it to fit on there. And now that this fits there, my motor, which is right over there, hold on, let's go. So this motor here now bolts onto it. So this piece matches that other one over there. And yeah, this motor's great. I uploaded a video of us fixing this motor this morning. My daughter helped with that a lot, which was really nice. Oh, I'm trying to turn my camera around, hold on. Okay, back to me. That's a golf cart motor. And it was at one point on a sailboat with an electric drive. And the guy was replacing it, and I bought it from him. And I was using it for a boat drive for a while, and then I wasn't doing anything with it for a while. For a few years, it was just on the boat, on my, what's it called? On the Shark Slicer, my biggest boat, my cargo boat, which is the one I'm doing the pedals for right now. But it was sitting on there for a few years while I was building my house and everything and not paying attention to it. And then when I went to check it, because I figured that's going to be the best motor for the lumber mill, because it's pretty high power. It's higher power motor. I think it's the highest power motor I have, actually. Oh no, I have one higher power, but that one's too huge. But it's a good motor and has the right voltage to run it right off solar panels and everything. But it had been sitting there for a while, and I brought it in and tested it, and it didn't work, and I don't even know what exactly was wrong with it. But I ended up taking the whole thing apart and cleaning all the parts and getting a whole bunch of rust off it and stuff like that, putting it back together, and then it worked perfectly. So that's the motor for my lumber mill, and that's been my most what's it called? My most successful repair technique for machines and things like that. It's like take it totally apart, clean all the parts, put it all back together. Like most of the time, it like suddenly works, and it's like I don't even know what the problem was. Maybe some dirt was blocking something, or some smudge was shorting some circuit. Like I don't know, but take something apart, clean it, put it back together. Often it ends up working right, as long as you put it back together right, of course. Jeff Krupke, Merry Christmas. Hello. Jimmy Slick 172. Hey Jamie, Merry Christmas from the other Jamie that you don't know yet. I stopped by your cabal when I was island shopping in my panga a few months ago, but you were not around. Huh. Let me think. So are you going to move here? Let me know if any cool islands or properties go up for sale. Well, they don't really go up for sale around here. The way, at least the way I've always got land around here is more like I let people know that I'm looking for land, and if they kind of don't hate me, then often people will just, like 3 weeks later, someone will show up and be like, well, I've got this land, you want to buy it? And then I'm either like yes or no or whatever. But there isn't much around here that's like listed for sale. And if you buy some land that's listed for sale, it's going to be through some real estate agent. It's going to cost a lot more than if you buy it directly from the owner. But Jimmy Slick, well, send me a message, like send me an email. We can talk. And yeah, it's weird that if you stop by and no one was around, but yeah, I mean, I'm not always here. What will be the power source for the sawmill? Yeah. Oh, you mean the power source? I'm thinking a bunch of solar panels, and I want to run it directly off solar panels. Like the solar panels that were on my houseboat before that are just kind of stacked over there. I'll have to make a thing where I can put them all up. Maybe on top of a guest house is kind of what I'm thinking. Either that or, well, the safest place to put them would be on top of the roof of this building because no one's going up there to steal anything. It's too high. But it's also not the easiest place to connect a bunch of solar panels because it's a big concrete dome and the solar panels are flat, and I don't want to put any holes in the roof and make leaks or anything, so it would have to be connected on the surface. Anyway, so I'm thinking I want to make a different building. So this whole lumber mill bridge guest house thing is all connected. So I'm flattening out a spot up at the top of the hill so I can put I'm calling it a guest house. I don't know. It was just another building. But I do imagine guests will stay there at some point. So anyway, I'm flattening out the ground up there for a guest house or whatever. And it's going to have solar panels on it that will power the lumber mill. And I may just have the lumber mill up there. And all the dirt I'm taking off the hill up there to flatten it out. And I'm not digging deep or anything. It's just like leveling it out, but it's a pretty big area, so there's a decent amount of dirt. So all that dirt I'm using to make a path between this island and the other little island, which you can walk to. It's muddy, and it's during high tide, you get your feet wet. So I'm making a path, and that's where I'm making the bridge to the other island, just so I have a dry way to get to that island and back. And then what was the other thing? Yeah, and the lumber mill will be powered by the solar panels on the guest house, right? You mean there's no island Zillow? I don't know. There's like when I was looking for an island, so this is like 10 years ago almost now. I did look online a whole bunch, and ultimately, like I looked online at a lot of different places, like Craigslist, real estate places, specific island website selling places, which always had the worst prices for everything. But yeah, like Craigslisty kind of things, like classifieds and stuff. I'd scour through them and all this stuff. But the way that I've bought all the land that I have now, and the way that I've found it to be the best, is just to go to the place where you want to live, like be in the area, get to know people, kind of like mention that you're looking for land, and hope that someone has land for you. And you might be surprised at how many people do. Like about 5 years ago, I started turning down land, like islands and other things. I was just like, no, I can't buy anymore because I have enough to deal with. It's just me, and I have to make sure I maintain all these properties. I mean, I don't have to do a ton to them or anything, but I have to pay attention to them. And when my kids get a little older, they'll be able to take over little pieces of land and stuff. if they want. But right now it's just me, so I had to start turning down a whole bunch of land actually. But it's not the kind of thing where someone would offer me that and I could just be like, well, I know someone else who might want to buy it, because they'll be like, well, I like you, but I don't know if I just want to sell it to anybody. So yeah, you'll get much better deals if you actually know the people and you get to know the area and all that. But if you just want to buy something, yeah, just go find some real estate guys or whatever. When she asked, what's RPM, I was encouraged by her enthusiasm to help refurbish that motor. Great video. Okay, so yeah, this is referring to the motor I was just showing, and hopefully that all showed up and it wasn't too pixely. But yeah, one of my kids asked what RPM means, because I was telling what the specs of the motor is, and I explained, you know, revolutions per minute, so it spins this many times every minute. And yeah, my kids, the thing with kids is, like, kids are naturally curious. Like, human beings are born with a lot of curiosity. It's not until they get stuck in school and told, sit here and don't move or you'll get in trouble, that, you know, the curiosity kind of gets beaten out of them. So, like, if there's one thing you could do, like, for your own kids, if you have kids or a niece or nephew or uncle or whatever, not an uncle, you are the uncle. But if you have kids in your life, answer their questions, even if they're ridiculous and stupid. Like answer their questions, encourage them to be curious, because they will really appreciate it, for one, and they're going to learn a lot, and it's just a really good thing for them, and also lets you really bond with them. Like, I bond with my kids just by this one rule I have, which is answer any question they have. If they ask me anything, answer it. Like, I shouldn't say I never say, I'm sure it has happened at some point when I was just busy or whatever. But generally speaking, I pretty much never say, I'm too busy, I don't want to answer this question, oh my God, stop asking why, or what, you know, I don't do any of that. My kids ask a question, I answer it. They say why, I answer that. They say why, I answer that. They can say why until they're blue in the face, and I will answer every time until it gets to the point where it's like, well, because that's just the way the universe is, you know? Because at some point, you know, you always get to a point where it's like, that's just how it is. Like, you know, I don't know. Can't stay, but I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to you and the family. Hope everyone is happy and healthy. Take care. Things are going pretty well. I do have a friend who is not feeling very well. She's at the hospital right now. She's kind of sick. I'm hoping she's okay. So everyone else, though, is good. And I'm hoping it's not anything serious. Hopefully everything is fine. But you know, she was feeling pretty bad and had to go to the hospital. Hopefully that's okay, though. But everyone else is fine. Everyone in my family is super healthy and running around like cheetahs and having a great time. And, you know, Deshana drives me nuts, but that's just normal, you know. Okay. All right, dark rocker. Have a good day. Too bad you can't always just buy all the land people want to sell you. Yeah, I mean, like, I can't just keep buying land. One, because I would run out of money. And the other one is that if I just keep buying land, at some point I won't be able to pay attention to it all. And what if someone, like, squats on one of my pieces of land and just, like, takes it over, and they're there for like 4 months before I notice? And at that point they'd be like dug in, and I gotta be like, oh man, I gotta get rid of this person. You know, I have enough land right now that from my island, like, if I go up to my roof and look out, I can see all my pieces, all my little islands, and all my land and everything. So I can keep track of it. I can go check on everything, and, you know, I can cut the grass and whatever. But yeah, if it was too much, I just wouldn't be able to handle it all. Now, when I first came here, my thought was kind of like, maybe I can just buy more land so that people who want to come and live here, they could just buy the land from me, and I would just have this, you know, this surplus of land that people could come buy directly from me, and I'd just sell it at the same price. Maybe mark it up just enough that it covers the, you know, the transaction cost. Because, you know, when you go to the place and do the paperwork and everything. The guy's like, okay, that'll be $100 or whatever. But anyway, I was thinking I could do that, but the process of building a community has been very slow. It's going fine, but it is very slow. Right now I have my latest, what do you call it, person injected into the community, who's come into the community. He's great. I love him. Oh, dude, don't come over and start being like, oh, you love me. Oh, you love me. All right, relax. No, I think he's really cool. And yeah, things are going really well with him. I actually have to ask him about some composting of composting of grass and stuff like that, because I'm doing a bunch of composting up at the top of my hill, trying to build some good soil, because I want to grow watermelons and amongst other things. But I love me some big melons and watermelons. I want to have some watermelons. And he's been composting on the island where he's staying, and he says it's going really well, and he's done all this research and stuff. And like, I could go and do a bunch of internet research, or I can just ask him, what has worked, because you're in the same place, the same environment, same dirt, what's working well. So I need to get some information about that from him. And that's my favorite thing. Maybe not my favorite things. One of my favorite things about having a community of cool people is like the thing I want to make, this community of cool, interesting, helpful, valuable people just around me. Not in a commune, not that I'm responsible for, but they just live close by. That's exactly the thing. So I can go over to him and be like, hey, can you help me out with this? You've been doing experiments with this. What are your results? And he can come over and be like, hey man, what kind of boat works well here, or something. We can just share information like that. And then also, help each other with stuff and stuff like that. Like a week or so ago, I went on a trip to go up a river just for something, and he was like, well, can I come? And I was like, yeah, you can come, let's go. And then we went on the boat and drove a couple hours to this river, and then we jumped in the river, and oh man, like jumping in the ocean is amazing. I love jumping in the ocean, but when you always swim in the ocean, getting into fresh water, it feels different. It's like refreshing. And this river is fresh water, and it's clear and it's cold. And we got in, it's just like, it was just like, so cooling me off, because we'd been pedaling for, a couple hours to get there. Oh, it's amazing. And, it's really cool to have a friend to go do that kind of stuff with. And, he's a dude, he's a guy. He's like, I want to do some man stuff so we can, go into the jungle and trim a trail or something with machetes and stuff like that. I haven't had a friend I can do that kind of stuff with in a long time. So it's really awesome having him around, even though we don't hang out that often, because he's busy working a lot on his stuff and I'm working a lot on my stuff. But it's really cool that we can hang out and do cool guy stuff together, like going to a river and cooling off. Okay, let's see. Too bad you can't always, just surround your solar panels with bullet ant nests. So yeah, there are these things called bullet ants, which are apparently insanely painful if you're bitten by them. I have never been bitten by one, but supposedly they live in this area. I've never seen any on my island. I've never seen one, actually. I've never seen any. But I know people who are like, yeah, I've got those on my land. Gotta stay away from them. Yeah. Emperor Jaimie. I don't know what Emperor Jaimie is. Are you able to get better internet connection, since it would be awesome for us to see you, not pixelated? Merry Christmas to all your family. Am I pixelated right now? I thought I was doing all right. We do have pretty good internet. The thing is, with a live connection, the connection has to be pretty fast, and the faster connection. I just heard something on the walkie-talkie. Deshana just getting the notification that she's home, which is really nice, with the kids and everyone's safe. Anyway, I can get faster internet if we pay more, but I don't want to pay more money. I feel like it's at a pretty good level. I don't need to be like super high resolution, like perfect pixels, seeing my nostril hairs and everything. I'm not running a Joe Rogan show here or anything. I'm a guy who's on an island out in the ocean. I feel like having this level of internet is pretty darn good. But yes, I could get faster internet. Can you feel the difference in the buoyancy between the fresh and salt water after having spent so much time in ocean? Yes. As a matter of fact, when we went to the river in the freshwater, I got in and I was immediately like, whoa, I am way more sinky than normal. Because out in the ocean, I can lay back as long as I have a decent amount of air in my lungs. I can just float, laying on my back pretty easily. Like I don't even have to I can do it pretty easily. But then in the freshwater, I went to do that and I just sank. And I was like, oh wow, I really have to inflate my balloons to float in the freshwater. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. It was kind of nice though, because in the salt water, you take a deep breath so you can dive down. You end up floating. You gotta try harder to stay at the bottom. That's why divers always have weights with them and stuff. But in the freshwater, I sink like a rock, man. It's really easy to swim to the bottom. You should make an underwater camera on your travels to town. Oh, take it under. Oh, I think it's supposed to be take, but it says make. So we can see what's in the ocean. I do have an underwater camera. It's a GoPro, but it's one of the old ones with no screen on it. So I end up I've used it a few times, but I almost never use it because you can't see what it's seeing. I need a screen. Because it's one thing to turn it on and trust that it's getting something, but it's so much more useful to have the screen and be like, okay, now I can get my shot lined up that I want, and, But I do have one right over there. Yeah, and I've been. Oh, I should write that down. Get some video. I wanted to do a lap around my island in the water, just showing what's around underwater. I was thinking about doing that because every now and then during my morning exercises, instead of doing some running part, I'll just go outside, jump out into the water at my beach, swim all the way around the island, get back to the beach and come out. So I could take a camera with me on that one day. Odd question. Ooh, an odd question. These are my favorites. If anyone else has an odd question, go for it. I mean, nothing too taboo or anything, but odd question. Okay. Bear with me. Have you noticed being away from population having some beneficial effects to your creativity, conscious experience, dreams, etc., or simply practical effects like less noisy? Well, I definitely noticed that being away from, largely populated areas, it makes it much easier to focus on what I'm doing because there aren't constantly people telling me you can't do that, you can't. I guess the biggest benefit of being away from the populated areas is that there isn't constantly someone saying you're not allowed to do that. I'm going to call the cops on you and then you're just like, wait, is this even illegal? And then you have to go look and check. Oh no, this is totally illegal. And then sometimes the person calls the police on you anyway, and then they show up and it's like, oh, hi police, and the police are like, well, we got a call, we need to check it out. I see what you're doing is all fine, and then you just waste 2 hours of your day talking to the police about this is what I'm doing, and then finally they leave and oh, okay, everything's fine, and it's like why do I, and then you just got to pay attention to this monkey on your back, these people just being like all the time. That's probably the biggest benefit of being away from all the people, because there's so many people, just like what we were talking about earlier, people just in your business, in your face all the time, they got nothing to do, so they want to mess up your doings. So being away from population, being on your own, it's so relaxing. I feel like there's so much I can do here that not that I couldn't do it in other places, but I can just do it. I don't have to worry about who's checking on me, who's looking, who's paying attention. And the trying to get you in trouble for things is one thing, but then there's also the, well, that's impossible. You can't do that, or it's unreasonable, or it's stupid, or you shouldn't be doing that. And it's just like constantly, let me just put my earplugs on. Can you people all just shut up and go away? Because I'm trying to do something. And this comes down to that saying, you know, the person saying it can't be done should never interrupt the person who's doing it. But it happens all the time. So unless, you know, you're not near people. And I guess this is the downside of having a YouTube channel. You know, I'm totally away from people. I can do basically whatever I want here. No one, I don't have to answer to anyone. But, you know, if I'm showing it on YouTube videos, I always have to think a little bit to myself, what should I show and what I shouldn't show? Because there's some things that maybe I shouldn't show because I don't know. I don't, like, someone might just be like trying to get up in my business and I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it's really beneficial to get away from negative people, because then you can really put your mind into that creative mode, and you don't have to be defensive. You don't have to use that part of your concentration on blocking out the stupidity and then, you know, all the trolls and crap. Like, you can just, instead of putting up those shields, you can take all that energy and just focus totally on what you're doing. And it's really good when you can totally focus 100% on your creative process and everything. It's like your whole spirit can be focused on a thing. It's great. The connection is much better than a year ago anyway. Oh, good. Starlink an option there. I don't know. Your video streaming is at max headroom quality. Very appropriate. Oh, that is beautiful. Yes, max headroom. About how much money did it cost you in the beginning to move to Panama? Well, yeah, if you consider all the traveling we did to find this place, I mean, I don't know. It was a fair amount of money, because we flew down to Chile and drove up and down, all up and down Chile, and then we were on our way to Nicaragua, but then we stopped here on the way. And, you know, all this is, you know, staying in hostels and, you know, getting on buses and airplanes and trains. You know, it's all like money was just like going. Like 5 figures, definitely, like well into 5 figures. But then it probably cost about $10,000 to get residency here for my whole family, and that included, you know, all the traveling, because then there was a bunch of traveling. We all had to go to Panama City to pick up our residency cards. We all had to go to David to pick up the temporary ones. Before that, we had to, you know, pay this person and that person. It was just like, you know, immigration stuff like nickel and dimes you to death. Although it's not really nickel and dimes, it's more like $400 here, $800 here, and then next thing you know, it's like, yeah, I'm like getting close to like $10,000 here by the time it was done. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what you include, but that should give you an idea. Oh, how much money did it cost you in the beginning to move to Panama with the families? Yeah, so that should give you kind of an idea. Can't believe people call the cops on you. So irritating. Yeah, I mean, no one's called the police have showed up. Not anytime recently, because I made friends with the police the time they showed up. But the police did show up a few years ago, and then also, you know, the Environmental Protection Agency, sort of, except a bunch of them didn't have ID, and I think they were fakers, and they're just going around trying to get bribes from gringos, because a lot of people are stupid and just are like, hey, how much do I have to pay you to get you to go away? Here's $500. And oh my God, talking to stupid people about this, like people who live around here, I'm sorry, but anyone who watches these videos and you do this is unbelievably stupid. If people come to shake you down for bribes, particularly if it's not even the real people, like they don't have ID, don't let anyone off a boat onto your land unless they show you ID. If they're saying they're an official, if they're an official, they need to have ID that says they're an official. And I learned this the one time they came, and most of them didn't have ID. And after that, I was like, from now on, everyone has to have ID or they have to leave. Anyway, if you give those people a bribe to make them go away, they're coming right back. Like next month after that. It's like if there's a hungry dog, you don't feed it to get it to go away. You feed it to come to you. You feed it to tell it this is a safe place for you to come and get stuff. This is your home. This is you come here. So if you have people and you feel like you have to give them hundreds of dollars to get them to go away, that's not going to get them to go away. They're just coming right back in a month or whatever. If you really want them to go away, the first time they show up, you have to spend the hour or two just bull crapping with them, but don't give them a cent. Make them waste their time. Because then next time they're doing the rounds, you know, seeing who they can shake down for some money, some easy cash, they'll be like, oh, no, let's not go to that place because last time we were there for like an hour and a half, we got nothing. That was a waste of time. Let's go to the next guy because as soon as we pull up to the dock, he's like whipping out his wallet. So let's go to that guy's house. All the people who are just whipping out their wallet, oh, you're causing a problem. You're making it so that going around shaking people down like that is a successful business. Like there are people who this is what they do because it works so well because you're going along with it, and you're making it harder for everyone else who's trying to do the right thing. So stop doing that dumb crap. Don't be dumb. Let's see. I was confused by your motor video. Was it simply the polarity? Okay, the motor. I was confused by the motor video too. So the motor, at first, the electric motor just wouldn't work. And I tried on one power supply, and then I was like, that might not be strong enough. So I tried on another power supply, and I was like, okay, that one is definitely strong enough. This motor should be spinning like crazy. And I looked at it, and I was like, I can't tell what's wrong. But then I took it all apart and put it back together, cleaned everything off and put it back together. My best guess is that maybe there was some junk in there, maybe even some iron filings or something that were shorting the electricity between the brushes. Like, so the electricity wasn't actually getting through the coils in the spinny part. What's the spinny part? The stator? No, the rotor? The spinny part, the spinny electromagnets. I don't care about the stupid fancy names. I know how to make one. That's my best guess, is that like somewhere in there was like some little pieces of metal or something that were shorting the electricity so it wasn't getting through where it needed to get. So obviously if I cleaned it all off, it would take out any things like that. And then, it instantly worked as soon as I cleaned it off and put it back together. So I'm thinking it must have just been something like that. Or maybe some dirt. Well, I know the part the brushes touch, it was really dirty around there, so maybe the brushes didn't have good enough contact to get enough electricity through that. That actually could have totally been it. Maybe the brushes, where the brushes were touching was just too dirty, and it wasn't letting enough electricity through. I know it was letting some through because I could see a little spark, but if it was blocking, if it was causing enough resistance, just not enough electricity to get through. Anyway, either way, I mean, I could speculate on all kinds of things, but the magical technique of dismantle the whole thing, clean it all really well, put it all back together, it worked. So, and that works a lot of the time. And yeah, it wasn't the polarity. The polarity was fine because it's a DC motor. You can attach the electricity either way. It'll work either way. Seems like there's a lot of island wisdom that needs to be acquired through experience, handling officials being one. Well, I've only really had, it's not really island specific officials. Like I had much worse issues with officials in the United States when I lived on the mountain in Vermont. When, like the tax man showed up and just tripled my taxes just like that. And I was just like, come on, man, what the? And then, there was actually a road that went almost all the way up to my property, but it was gated. And the local authorities wouldn't give me the key, wouldn't let me drive to my own property. Some of them, one guy actually did end up giving me a key. He's like, this is ridiculous. You should have this key. But then as soon as this other guy found out I had the key, he made this huge thing, and it was just, it's just like, dude, why? Like, what is your problem? And it was just this idiot who drinks too much and just, is the standard person who has nothing better to do than cause problems for other people. And there are too many of those people who are like, I'm going to cause problems for you just because I can. And that's always the people, that's the most dangerous people in the world, are the people who want to cause a problem for you just because they can. It's like your neighbor who sees you doing something in your yard, like planting a tree, and they're just like, I think that if I call the police, they'll have to pay for a permit for that. And it's like, there's no reason to cause this person a problem, but the person sitting there is just like, I think I can do it, so I'm totally going to, for no reason other than just I can cause a problem, so I'm gonna do it. Oh God, I hate those people. I'm sure that these people have been around like all throughout history, and 4,000 years ago they just got murdered, so there weren't many of them. That person gets clubbed in the head, and that was the end of them. But now, free reign, go ahead, cause as many problems as you want for other people. It's terrible. But yeah, here I haven't really had much of any kind of issues with the officials. The one time the police came by, actually no, the police have come by 2 times, and both times it was fine. One time they came by because they're like, oh, you're new here, we're just come and check out what's going on, and they weren't actually looking for any problems. They asked, did you cut any of these mangroves? And I was like, no, I haven't touched any mangroves. And everyone knows that. Don't touch the mangroves. Don't cut the mangroves. Which totally makes sense, because if you cut the mangroves, the mangroves prevent erosion. You want the mangroves. But anyway, then they were just very friendly after that. And then that was when I first got here. And then 3 years ago, something like that, the police came by. It was a totally different police, because years had gone by. And they just basically came by to check. It was during the pandemic, actually. They came by to check that I actually owned the land where I was, because they're like, yeah, some people have been going around squatting because the pandemic's happening, so people know that people can't travel. So if there's an empty piece of land, people are going on there and squatting. And we had a conversation about it, and they were friendly, and it wasn't any problem at all. And I found that the police here in Panama have always been very, very friendly, which is such a refreshing thing from being in Canada or the United States, where the police, even when you're not doing anything, they just look at you like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What can I yell at you for? Are you gonna cross that street? Are you gonna cross? There's no crosswalk. Are you gonna cross? Ugh. And it's like, come on, dude, back off. And when I first got to Panama, when I was in town one day, not when I first got here, it was after we bought land and I started doing things. I was in town, and in someone's garbage there was this big satellite dish, medium satellite dish. I don't know, it was a satellite dish. And I was walking past it, and I was like, oh, that's a perfectly good looking satellite dish. I'm sure I can find some use for that. And I looked at it, and I was like, well, I can just pick that up and throw it in my boat. And then I looked up, and there was a cop standing on the other side of the street, just like hanging out in front of the store, drinking something or whatever. And I'm like, oh, God, all right, so let me pick this up. And I put it over my shoulder, and I start walking, and I look at the cop, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, hey, man. Obviously, he said it in Spanish, and like, oh, ¿cómo estás? Like, how's it going? We had a brief conversation. He's just like, I don't care that you're carrying a piece of garbage. Whatever, yeah, the police here have always been very chill. All the police I've met, so it's actually really nice. Was it? Let's see. Okay, this is back about the motor. Or was it the cleaning that freed something up inside the motor? Okay, yeah, I answered that, I think. And then you retracted a message. Ooh, whenever someone retracts the message, I always think you're saying terrible stuff. No, but he was asking about the motor, which I think I answered. If there is a negative person in your life, Oh, God. Yeah. Okay, let's finish the sentence. If there is a negative person in your life and you stuck with them, it's better to agree with them mostly, even if you don't, than try to change their opinion, argue. Yeah, well, if you have a negative person in your life, I don't think it helps to agree with them. Um, but I think you have to just agree to disagree. Like for instance, Deshana and I, we disagree on a lot of things, and we just had to. I mean, this was a long time ago when this happened. We just agreed, we are different people. We will disagree on a lot of things, and that's fine. It doesn't mean we can't be friends. Doesn't mean we can't be part of each other's lives, because we are useful to each other's lives. Like there are a lot of ways that we are useful to each other's lives. Just we disagree on so many things. It's not like we want to be in each other's personal lives or anything. So we just agree to disagree, and then it works out fine. Except every time she wants me to agree with her. Oh no, I pushed the wrong button. Oh, come on. Quit messing with my thing here. I used to have an old man, oh no, next door, who called the cops on me every time I ran my generator to power my well pump. He's dead now. Yeah, you probably were not too upset the day he died. But isn't that just, it just drags everyone down when there are people like that who are just sitting around just waiting for something to complain about. It's just it just makes life unnecessarily difficult. And this is part of the downside of having a society that has enough technology and all this stuff to create so much abundance that most people don't really have to worry about their survival. They don't really have to do anything. I mean, you could literally do nothing and just live off welfare and just literally do nothing. And then it gives you all this time to look for trouble, cause trouble. That's the downside of so much prosperity, creating so much value in a society. There's definitely a big upside of having less, and having people have to kind of like pay attention more and focus more on their own well-being and what they're doing, because then they have less time to cause problems for other people. Thank you for the revitalized. Oops. Oh, come on. Thank you for the revitalized upload schedule. As of lately, the short update videos on the latest projects are fantastic. Bravo. Oh, well, great. I'm glad it's going well. I don't really have I haven't had a schedule, but yeah, I've been keeping up with some stuff. And I think part of it is that now I'm building machines. I'm doing a bunch of digging, but I can only show so many digging videos before it's just oh, here I am doing the exact same thing. It's just going to take a long time. But when I'm building a machine, it's okay, here's this piece, which is interesting, and here's the next piece, which is also interesting. And every piece of it is different and interesting. So yeah, when I'm doing stuff like that, I can make a lot more videos. Old satellite dishes make great solar cookers. Aha! I actually have some silver spray paint. I was thinking about doing that. Spray glue and aluminum foil or mylar. Yeah, that's if the spray paint doesn't work. Some people always feel they need to get the last word in. Oh, God, yeah. The same type of people probably never forgive and always need to get revenge, even on the most minor thing. Yeah, it's just such a waste of time. And I remember when I was a kid, I had to, if someone wronged me in some way, I had to punch them back, or I had to get revenge and get back. But eventually I was like, what a waste of time. There's so many other things I could do than deal with this idiot who's just causing problems. And yeah, it's really weird that there are so many people who choose of their own free will. They choose to just put all their energy and time into this complete waste of time. Yeah, just trying to get the last word, trying to prove them right. I'm going to prove them right all the time. And, I'm just going to talk all the time and try to make people feel dumb or make them feel worse. Here I am sitting here talking, but not ever actually do anything. And man, when you start actually doing something real, you realize it doesn't matter if you convince other people that you're right or wrong. Like when you do something real, it's it's real. It's like there's no denying that you did a cool thing. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It's great. I'm so excited to see how the sawmill progresses. I am too. I'm really excited about the lumber mill because I've been thinking about building it for kind of a long time. I mention it every once in a while, and before I started it, I kept thinking, man, I don't know how I'm going to mount this saw blade and get the motor and get the whole power system. The hardest part to make. Like that's the part I want to make first, because the rest of it, making the track and the part that moves up and down and all that stuff. Like it's some work, but it doesn't require like the precision that you need for mounting the blade and the motor and all that. But that stuff went so smoothly. I'm so happy about that. And now I can figure out how to do all the rest. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to start cutting wood too. And one of the cool things is I'm going to cut all the wood here, and I'm going to end up with just mountains of sawdust, which I think is supposed to be good compost, like good for the gardens and everything. And this island is largely clay. Like you can make pottery with the clay. It's very clay. So getting a nice layer of decomposing sawdust on a lot of it will be really good. I think that's right. I'm so excited to see. Yeah, okay. I tried using an old satellite dish to cook on. Results are sketchy at best. Well, I think I can get it to work. But how big was it? Anyway, let's see. Why didn't you want to do a simpler Alaskan style mill, chainsaw on a slide? Okay. I actually have one of those. I made one. It's really easy to make. Just took some aluminum square tube and a few bolts and made an Alaskan lumber mill. The problem with a chainsaw, well, there are a few things. One is it cuts a really fat line, so you waste a lot of wood. Another thing is, well, I guess I do have an electric chainsaw, but I guess first I'm thinking about my gas chainsaw. That means I have to keep buying gas and oil, and I don't want to have to keep buying gas for cutting wood. I would like to do it without using a fossil fuel. And I understand solar panels are made using fossil fuels, whatever. But like here, I can do it without having to constantly pay for more gas if I run it off electricity. So I want to do something electric, not a gas motor. And then a chainsaw, even an electric one, still needs oil constantly in the chain, and it spits oil everywhere, which would be less great for the sawdust coming off it. Putting that into my garden, I'm going to be putting motor oil in there too, and plus it spits oil everywhere and gets all over the place and smells bad. And yeah, there's just a lot of reasons. And then the other thing is, with an Alaskan lumber mill, you need to start with one flat cut or one flat something you can put on. I know you can put a ladder, or there are ways to do it, but you're also kind of limited in what it can cut. With a swing blade lumber mill, I can put the log there. I can go like this, cut, then swing the thing and cut back this way, and just do all the cuts without moving the log. There's no oil spitting everywhere. There's no gasoline being used. They're just hopefully that covers basically why I want to do it. All the wood that's currently in my house, I cut with a chainsaw, and I can cut pretty good boards just freehanding, like not even with putting a line on the log or anything. I can just look at it, imagine a straight line, take my chainsaw, and make really nice boards, like this table right here, which my friend the other day came over and was like, "Man, where did you get these boards? They're so perfect now." Like I cut them out of the forest. I chainsawed them, and I planed the top so it was smooth. But yeah, would you date or marry a local, or do you only look for American or Canadian? I would date or marry a person that I like. I don't care where they're from. They don't even have to be from this planet. Well, they gotta be human though, or at least human compatible. Anyway, there's no aliens that I know anyway. But yeah, I don't have any particular nationality. I don't even care about national borders that much. Let's see. Yeah, I would totally date anyone. Although dating, I don't want to date someone. I want to like have a relationship. Anyway, the issue with sawdust is it can use up the nitrogen. Need to combine with green material or manure. Okay, so yeah, so sawdust. I'll mix it with cut grass, or I can get probably, well, should I poop on it? Do I need to poop on it? Do I need to poop on my sawdust? Mix it in. Make like some sawdust poop concrete. No, I think I'll just stick with mixing leaves and grass in with it. Can I pee on it? If I pee on it, I would totally pee on my sawdust. Will that make it? I'm gonna have to learn about composting sawdust when I get to that point. Maybe someone here will tell me at some point. See, it'll use up the nitrogen. Yeah, so I need to do something about that. I am working on a bandsaw style lumber mill. Prefer a wider cut. Yeah, my first lumber mill I made was a bandsaw, and yeah, being able to cut wide boards, that is really awesome. That is a huge advantage that the bandsaw has over the circular blade. I decided to go with the circular blade partly because I can get a circular blade more easily, but also because you don't have to sharpen it as often. And you know, with like a bandsaw is amazing as long as everything is perfect. But if you know there's any little, if it gets too dull, it'll start, or you know, it's a little more finicky, and I want something a little more robust. But yeah, a bandsaw lumber mill is a really cool thing too. And the first one I made was a bandsaw lumber mill, and it worked great. And yeah, I definitely did have a debate on which I was going to do. Okay, this is about the satellite dish Mike used to cook with. It was a dish TV size unit. So is that like the little ones like this? I don't think that's not going to be enough to cook with. You need like the big one, because it's only going to take the sun from that big an area. That's not that much heat. I stripped the paint off and polished it to a mirror finish. Focus of the beam of sunlight is critical. It made a cup of espresso on a sunny day at noon, maybe. Yeah, the thing is, like, if you're going to cook like a pot that's like this big, you only have to focus the light down to this point. If you're focusing enough light down to this point and it's not that hot, you know, it's not going to do anything. It doesn't matter if you can focus down to a little point super hot, unless you're doing heating something small. But if you're trying to heat a pot, you heat up a tiny little spot, the heat's just going to dissipate through the whole thing anyway. Poop or pee away. Pee is no good for compost. Oh, too much sodium? Mix the liquid and solids from your methane digester with the sawdust. Okay, I can't get the solids out of my methane machine, but I can get the liquids out. I actually poured some on a bunch of plants last week, and I did notice there was one plant that had kind of brownish leaves, and like 3 days later, it was like so green. The rest of the plants, that was the one that was the biggest difference. The rest of the plants look like they're doing good, but they didn't look that bad before anyway, so I don't know. Hopefully it's helping. It's definitely not hurting them. Okay, you need bat poop. Yeah, I don't have bats. Or poop from ruminant animals like cows or horses. Okay, here's my question. What if I start running around a lot and eating the grass on my island, just not even in my hands, just like a horse, and I do a lot of running and I just eat the grass? Then could I use my poop to fertilize my land? Thinking, yeah. I don't think I can do that. You should build a sawmill with bow saw blades. Get an old lawnmower engine crankshaft to turn it. I don't think I need why do I need an old lawnmower engine crankshaft to turn it? With bow saw blades. I did think about doing one with bow saw blades. It's not one that would turn though. It would be one that goes like, at least what I'm thinking of is one that goes like this. And it can have multiple blades, and you can have your log very slowly go through it, and it would just be like. Is that tomatoes? Tomatoes. Hello, Tomaters. How's it going, man? Tomaters made it. Yeah, dude, you're like an hour and a half late. So I don't know what you've been doing for Christmas, but we've been here doing this whole thing. So no, I'm just kidding. Good to see you. I hope everything's going well, and I hope you're having a great time with your people or whoever you're hanging out with. I was spending the morning with my kids, and right now they're at Deshana's house. I might go over there in a little bit. I'm thinking of going up to the hill and doing some digging. Okay, cows have different bacteria in their guts, different from human bacteria. Okay, so what if I eat a cow? And then, no, that's not going to work, is it? Okay, never mind. I'll just have to. I don't know. I'll just have to figure out what I can mix with this here sawdust that I don't even have yet, so I don't have to worry about it yet. I am composting a whole bunch of grass up on top of the hill, just like, I trimmed the grass, which was like long, so I had a decent amount. And I made a big mound of grass and threw a bunch of leaves on there and stuff, and some ashes and charcoal. Christmas digging, yeah, Christmas digging. I haven't gotten that much digging done lately because it's been rainy. So the rainy days are fine for working on machines, which I've been very excited about. But I haven't gotten much digging lately. But today is totally sunny out, and it should be dry enough that I can do some digging, not in the mud, which is, that's the thing that holds the digging up the most, is when it rains, it just turns to mush. And it's not fun digging in the mud. I did it when I was working on my house, because I was like, I don't care if I can only make 10% of my normal progress, I got to get something done. But now I can just figure out what's the most useful thing to do. Let's see. Have you traveled back to the US since you left? I have not gone back to the United States. I haven't left Central America since I got here. I went to Costa Rica one time, and that was it. And that was really just to renew a visa. And now we have permanent residency, so we don't have to go anywhere. But yeah, I have no plans to leave. I have so much to do here, and so much I'm excited about to do here. Like I don't want to go anywhere. And so I'm Canadian, according to the government. Like my passport's Canadian, and I had a green card in the United States. And when I left the U.S., I turned in the green card, and you have to like fill out a big form and go to the embassy and give them your green card, and they say, "Do you know what you're doing? Do you have any idea what you are doing turning in this green card? Do you know what you're and they give you a big talking to, and then you'll be like, okay, like, lady, I know what I'm doing. I have the form, which was not on your government website. I had to find it somewhere else, by the way. I filled out the form. I got my green card here. I'd like to turn it in. Give me a receipt. And now if I go back to the United States, I have to show the paper that says I lawfully turned in my green card, or else they don't let me into the country." So I don't know. I have that paper somewhere, so. But I don't plan to go to the United States. Probably ever. I don't know. Oh, did you fully finish the dragon scales? No, not yet. Tell me wife that at Classic Dude Mike. Tell somebody's wife. Mike, you better go tell that guy's wife something. Could you use sawdust and human waste help fuel a forge? Huh. Could I mix sawdust with poop and fuel a forge? You probably could. I mean, you'd have to dry out the poop, of course. You don't want wet poop. Would be stinky, but you don't have to worry about consuming it. Yes, I would definitely, if I mixed poop with sawdust, I would definitely not eat it. So that's yeah, I'm with you there, 100%, baby. We call those pizzas with the up and down. Is that a typo? Okay. We call those pizzas with the up and down blade, and they use them in their gangs frequently where you get multiple blades in one gang. Just need an arm to provide the up and down motion from a motor. You call those pizzas? So those are called pizzas? The blades are like this? I was thinking about making a windmill that would work like that. Just make sure you have lots of rainworms in your compost. What are rainworms? Are those the worms that come out when it rains? Because I have some of those around. Well, they don't want you to leave with your possible tax money. That why they hassle you. Yeah. So if you have a green card in the United States, you have to pay taxes in the United States. Even if you don't live there anymore, even if you live in another country, the United States, they come after you, even if you're living in another country, which is kind of whatever. So yeah, when I turned in my green card, I was fully aware that they don't want me to turn in my green card because then they can't tax me anymore. And yeah. Yes, tomaters. I've been legal for, I don't know, 6 years or something, 5 years. I don't know. I guess it's been a while since I've been legalized in this country. Wow, they just need a form and the system to place everything into. Yes, yeah. Everybody on the planet, these people who are in charge, they all want to get you like numbered and like put into your category, and then they can say, all right, get these people to go do this and make those people do that and stuff these people in this hole and shove those people in this jail. I mean, beautiful compound. No, not compound. Nice place to be. Ugh. Yeah. Too much control over people. Just too much control. I think we need to get back to a society with way fewer laws and rely much more on our own morality, which is what this is all about. Adventure builder clubs. Yeah, rely on your own morality. Do what's right. Don't pay attention to the laws nearly as much as what you think is right. Jaimie, have you been thinking of other materials you could recycle, like what you did with a styrofoam, like PET bottles or used car tires, for example? Okay, so what he's talking about is this wall right here and this part up here. Not this part. This part's regular concrete, but this part up here and this part down here is styrocrete. So it's actually mostly styrofoam bits chewed up, and I've recycled just almost like an unbelievable amount of styrofoam in building this place and the bridge and a few other things. Like I've taken a lot of styrofoam out of the garbage system and turned it into useful stuff, which is I'm very happy about that. I'm kind of proud of it. So he's asking if I have plans for recycling other materials. I have used old car tires on some things. Plastic bottles. I've used plastic. Well, one of my boats, the Shark Slicer, has hundreds of plastic bottles inside the fronts and the backs of the pontoons. In kind of the dead space where no one goes, there's nothing in there. It's just I filled it with bottles so that if at some point there's a leak, I get a hole in the boat or something, the bottles will still keep it floating, even if I'll lose a bit of buoyancy because there's some space between the bottles, but they'll keep me floating. So yeah, I mean, I try to reuse like anything, really, plastic, anything. Any stuff that's going into the garbage. I try to put pressure on the world to have things come out of the garbage and become useful again. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. You need nitrogen when plants are growing leaves. Later on, you need potassium and phosphorus when flowering. Okay, potassium and phosphorus. My God, voice to text is terrible. It's a pit saw. A pit saw. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Not a pizza. So Ben I think that was Ben. Ben earlier when he was talking about the pizza, it was a pit saw, which is a saw where like one person gets in the ground in a hole and there's a log on the ground, and another person gets above, and they basically take a saw. The person at the bottom is like pushing the saw up and down, and the person at the top is pulling the saw up and down. They saw through the log like that, except not that fast. Yeah, that's a pit saw. But if you have a motorized thing, then you don't have to have the people standing in a hole and stuff. Tomaters is showing some adventure builder love. Feel like I need to rewatch THX 1138. I have not watched that in a long time. It's basically a movie where what's his name? Robert Duvall? I think that's his name. except that's not his name in the movie. He's living in this society that's very restrictive. Basically, he's basically living in a prison, but he escapes to the surface. And yeah, I feel like that's what I've largely done with my life. Although I'm not, there's no way to completely escape a system like we have today until it's not functioning anymore. I wonder if coconut husk would make a good substrate in concrete. I don't know, it might, but I think it would definitely work in the short term, but I don't know if it would like degrade or over time and kind of disappear and stuff. I've used burlap before, and the burlap was amazing for a while, and then it just kind of disintegrated. But it might have been because it got dirty before I used it, so it started molding and stuff in there. So I don't know. Oh, that's a neat idea. Like those artificial island with the bottles. That's a neat contingency plan. Yeah, keep up the great work on the videos and shows. Well, thanks, C Star Web. I will do my best. I'm glad you're enjoying it. You might consider using PVC pipes to establish air channels into your compost piles. I've thought about, I mean, people have suggested that, but I don't really want to put PVC pipes into my compost. Like it just seems like something I don't want to do. I think maybe I more just want to like kick it or like shovel with a shovel or smush it around just to get it fluffing up and moving, get the air squishing. Like even if I just like took a shovel and like shoved down on the top of it and got it bouncing a little, that would push air out and suck it in, right? Like that would get the oxygen in there. And maybe every time I walk by my compost pile, I'll just like shove it a little, get it to, get the air moving through it. Especially if you don't turn them often. It's supposed to increase the mycelium growth and supposedly very good. Yeah, I haven't been turning my compost piles at all. I don't know. The person in the in the pit of a pit saw is called an underdog. Cool. Hey underdog. You got the underdog and the overdog? Is that what the top person is? Well, Merry Christmas to Joe Blow. Organics in concrete is a no-go. Yeah, that's kind of the experience I've had. Putting organic material in the concrete, it ends up disintegrating over time. Polypropylene, I think, doesn't disintegrate. I looked this up a while ago. I think it's polypropylene plastic. Doesn't react with the concrete, and it'll stay in there. I've got polypropylene ropes going through here, and they're all pulled tight to keep tension on the concrete. You don't want to use polyester ropes because the polyester supposedly like kind of disintegrates in the concrete. I don't remember what the reaction was or whatever. Vinyl I think is supposed to be okay too, but don't take my word for this. I don't remember exactly. Chili eaters. Oh, chili. Chili eaters have poop that burns hotter. Just for your information, the more you know. Wait, really? Has nothing to do with the hot sauce, I'm presuming, unless that was a joke. Turning compost is therapeutic. Northern Island boy, do you want to come do some therapy at my house? Yeah, I'll go turn my compost. Yeah, I guess it's not a big deal. I can turn it. Yeah, from what I understand, you can do absolutely nothing to compost and it will still work. Everything else is just extra and may make it work a little better faster. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like I'm in such a warm climate and it rains enough that this stuff, it's always getting wet and then hot. I feel like the compost is going to go at a fairly good rate. And maybe if I'm walking past it and I have the right tool or something, I'll turn it a little, but for the most part, I feel like I should put more effort into making more compost rather than doing stuff to the compost that's already there. But yeah, maybe I'll have two different piles. One where I just pile the stuff, and another one where I turn it over every now and then and see what the difference is. Or maybe I'll just not worry about it because I have so many things going on. If the compost takes a little longer, fine. Jaimie, when the kids get older, are you guys planning on something like a Rumspringa? If too personal, obviously feel free not to answer. Well, the thing is, my kids can do whatever they want. If I'm not going to do like a Rumspringa, for anyone who doesn't know, and excuse me if I get any of this wrong, in like Amish communities, it's a very tight-knit community, and you're kind of either in the community or you're out of the community. And at some point when you're a teenager or something, people do a year of Rumspringa, where they go off and experience the world, and if they come back after that year, then they are in the community. But if they don't want to come back, well, then they can't come back. They are out and doing their own thing. So I don't know. I don't need to do anything that formal or anything. If my kids want to go travel the world or whatever, I will give them all the information I can and try to help them make the best decisions they can. I do not want my daughters traveling by themselves, for a lot of obvious reasons. And I realize that a lot of people take issue with that. Well, they should be able to do anything they want. No, a lot of bad things happen, and anyway, I don't know. I'm just going to try to, help my kids do whatever they want to do with their lives in the best way I possibly can. And that is actually one of the reasons I'm setting up a lot of the stuff here, is I want them to have a home where, I always get this accusation, not always, but I sometimes get this accusation that having kids in a place like this, I'm taking opportunities away from them because they're not living in a city. But I think I'm giving them opportunities because I'm giving them a safe home that will provide them with all the stuff they need to survive. So that stuff is taken care of, right? So that means, they've got a home, they got the things they need to survive taken care of. They have to participate in it to keep it going and everything. But that means all that stuff, they've got that under control, and then they can figure out what they want to do in addition to that, which is a huge freedom, not a restriction. Whereas if you grow up like I did, it's like, okay, you're an adult, get out, go live. Go to university, rack up a bunch of debt, and now you're basically a slave because you have no way of feeding yourself other than paying money, and you owe money, and money. Like, I felt extremely restricted by that. And in the lifestyle I have here, I feel like I'm giving my kids just way more freedom than I had growing up, where everything was money and debt. So hopefully that answers that question. Oh man, why do I keep pushing the wrong thing? This is great. I feel like I'm at a round table of adventure builders. Yes, classic dude Mike. I'd love to. Hey, Island Boy, I sent you an email. Wait, why am I reading this? This is a conversation between you guys. With a YouTube link about a guy with an automatic chainsaw lumber mill for cutting perfect boards with just a chainsaw mounted on a rail and trolley. WYT. What's WYT? Will it? I don't know. Someday I will. Which insects cause you and the family the most trouble? This the little, they're called chitras. Chitras, Chitra. Chitra? Yeah, they're like mini mosquitoes. So, like, they're small enough that they're hard to see. The mosquitoes aren't, actually, there aren't even that many mosquitoes. I know I smacked one earlier today on this. But the mosquitoes, you can see them, you can hear them, and they're not that many. They're very rarely encounter a mosquito, and it's easy to smack them. But these stupid little chitras, like, you can't even see them. And you go outside in either the morning or the evening, and it depends on the time of year and the weather and stuff. Sometimes there's nothing, but if the bugs are out, it's like suddenly you start getting itchy, and it's like, oh no, they're biting me. The good thing about them is if you light a coconut husk and put it on the ground, like just that little bit of smoke makes them all go away, which is great. And they're generally not out in the daytime or at night. It's just like dawn and dusk. Or if the weather changes in such a way that it's, similar to dawn or dusk. Like it suddenly gets brighter or darker, or it starts raining or stops or something like that. But yeah, those are the worst bugs, the chytras. That's pretty much the only one we really are annoyed by. A new bad joke for my nephew. How does God fix his tea? He brews it, spelled Hebrew. Oh. Charcoal and crushed shells are good soil enrichment. I can definitely get crushed shells, not cells, shells. By the way, I gotta remember this. Charcoal and crushed shells. Okay, I did pretty much know that, but okay. By the way, have you considered to do aquaculture somewhere near your island to grow edible mussels? I've actually thought about making a pond on my land, having freshwater fish growing in it. And yeah, I've thought about doing that. And then using the water to, fertilize things and, all that stuff. Frederick Brinkrat, you sent me an email through YouTube? Haven't seen it, but I'll look. Wait, email on YouTube? Does YouTube have a messaging system again? I don't know. They keep changing stuff. Let's see. You are giving them something. The tendency toward disorganization, chaos, is moving much more slowly on your islands than in the US or Canada. Yeah, man. You know what was... Okay, so you're mentioning a lot of craziness going on in the US and Canada and in a lot of parts of the world. When I was working on my house, when I built my house, I was basically just disconnected from the rest of the world for a year. Like I almost never went online, like for months at a time. I didn't even check my email or anything. So for a year, I was pretty much totally disconnected. So at the end of that year, when I was like, well, let's go online and see what's going on, I got that whole year worth of garbage all at once. And I was like, wow, you should try it. Like, try not paying attention to the news or anything, and not talking about what's going on in the world for like a year. And then get that whole year all at once. It's shocking how far things can fall in a year when you see it all at once. It's just crazy. Oh, what you think, WYT, what you think. I see. I've more than once imagined the Mansell children being a big part of the future of society, thinking of how things could go in the next 50 years, their unique perspective and separation could be huge. Well, one of the things, there's a very good chance that with the direction we're going right now, our current civilization is basically just going to slowly crumble. And the people who are going to make it and thrive are the ones who are, living off grid outside of the cities. And all those cities are just going to kind of slowly disappear. And what's going to grow up, like fill in all that space, is, the off-grid communities, which are going to become bigger. And then, eventually they'll become advanced and and then people will stupidly be like, oh, we should have some form of government to rule us. Not to rule us, just to help organize things. And then, you end up in the whole cycle of oppression and tyranny again. This thing keeps going. Like, if you look back through history, it's just a cycle that keeps going over and over and over. So, chances are that's what's going to happen again. So if someone was going to ask me what they should do at this point in the cycle, like get out of cities, like get to a place where you can live self-sufficiently and be in a situation where you're not dependent on the systems that cities depend on, because that's going to be the people whose lives are getting better as everyone else is getting worse. And the people in cities are going to try to drag down the people living outside of cities with them, because that's just what people do. But whatever. You're going to be much better off living out of a city, as things go kind of downhill. Unless you don't buy the idea that things are going downhill. If you think everything's fine, fine. I was wondering, hi Jaimie, it's a small island, but the seafloor around you is very big. Is there any way for you to utilize the seafloor? I have no idea myself. Yeah, I could build houses. there's a lot of very shallow water around my island. Well, one side has deep water, one side has shallow water, but the shallow goes out pretty far. I could build a dock out there that goes way out into the water, and I could build huts on it. I could find a bunch of dirt and just make the island bigger or whatever. Although a lot of this stuff, I don't know if I'm supposed to get permits to do it or whatever. Um, Pretty much everything I'm doing right now is pretty safely within legal limits, as far as I understand. Of course, I don't know all the laws, which is why I'm always a little bit cautious, because I never know when there's some guy who's gonna be like, "Oh, you're doing something illegal." Oh, I sent an email to Jaimie about chainsaw lumber mill. Oh, what do I think about that? Well, I didn't. I saw the video. I didn't watch the video yet because, again, it was like pretty much the only time I see this stuff is like if I wake up at like 2 in the morning and I'm just like, oh, I'm just awake for half an hour or an hour or whatever. Let me go look at some stuff. And my kids were here, so I couldn't play videos because it would have been. I don't want to wake anyone up. But I did see it. I'm not particularly interested in making that though, because I don't want to cut wood with a chainsaw, partly because it cuts a fat line, and I don't want to have the chain oiled constantly. I'm just building a different kind of lumber mill for a lot of reasons, and I'm doing that. I'll probably watch the video just to see how that guy built his thing, because it might be interesting. I'll probably skip through it a bunch though, kind of look for the highlights. My 9-year-old daughter wants to know if your daughter plays Roblox. This is an online video game thing, right? Yeah, my kids don't really do any online stuff. I mean, they do a little bit. They do some at Deshana's house. They do some online school stuff, and they have some, video conference classes kind of thing. That kind of thing became much more popular when the quarantines were going on. So that was kind of nice. There's a lot of online educational resources that my kids use, but they don't just spend time on the internet. When they're playing, they're like playing with Lego. My daughter has this whole crazy workshop right over there. She curtained off a room for herself. She's just like, I'm taking over this spot. She's curtained off this room like right over there. And she's got a crazy workshop over there, and she makes dolls and doll houses, and she makes like little like cars and stuff and machines, and she makes clothes for herself. She sews a lot. She makes her own, like a lot of her own clothes, most of her own clothes. She's kind of got like a princess punk style. It's pretty cool. I like it. But yeah, my kids do things in real life, with their hands. They don't spend much time looking at screens doing things. But they don't actually know what Roblox is, as far as I know. I was confused. I think the reason for not using a chainsaw was to avoid fossil fuel. Yes, that is one reason. Electric from solar means you never run out of fuel. Yeah, I could run an electric chainsaw, but then I still need the chain part itself needs oil to lubricate it, right? So I would still need oil for that, and then the chain also cuts a fatter cut, so it wastes more wood. And also, even when you get a really straight cut with a chainsaw, it's not as smooth as like a circular saw blade. Like it's going to cut a smoother surface. So. And there isn't any perfect way anyone should be doing it. I'm going to build the lumber mill that I want to build. You have enough wind for kite surfing sail? Yes, definitely have enough wind. I mean, depends when, but it definitely gets windy sometimes. I don't have any interest in kite surfing though, because I feel like the logistics of having all these strings and a thing on the end of the strings is it's just more than I want to deal with. Like, I like windsurfing, where you just hold your sail. I love that. I would love to get a windsurfer here. Maybe I should get one, or I could just make one. I don't know. That would actually be really fun, going somewhere. Like I've done windsurfing before, but it was always just kind of a recreational thing. You know, my high school track and field coach was into windsurfing. And he used to take me windsurfing and a couple of other guys a few times. And it was really fun. But here I could actually like go miles to somewhere and, you know, do something. I could like windsurf all the way to town if I wanted to, like, whew, man, that would be a long windsurf. Lumber mill. Airfoil worked great as long as you don't get wet. Attention, all adventure builders, wake up early and build and get some real sunlight in your eyes for a half an hour every day. It makes all the difference in the world. It's science. Also more efficient cutting, both horizontal and vertical. Okay, so this is talking about the lumber mill still. Yeah, one of the things I really like about the swing blade is that you can cut this way and then you can cut this way. So you can just have your log sitting there. You don't have to move the log, and it's very easy to make your, you know, you just move the blade however wide you want your boards to be, and it works really well. You could set up a chainsaw on a thing that will tilt too, so you could cut this way and that way. But I mean, another reason that I want to use a circular blade, and this was the original reason I really got interested in the swing blades, is because when you use a circular blade, you can, you know, the blades come with carbide tips, so they last a long time. You don't have to sharpen them all the time. Whereas a chainsaw blade, you have to sharpen all the time. Now you can get chainsaw blades with carbide tips, but I've seen kind of mixed reviews about them. Plus, you still have to oil the chain. I don't want to have to use consumables to run my lumber mill. Ian's talking about the historical cycle of the, you know, the rise and fall of civilization. This is like organization to chaos to organization to chaos. Yeah, just over and over. Submarine build? LOL, joking. No, I want to build a submarine. Yeah, totally. Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. Yeah, when I was in Vermont, that was a very common saying. Like, just do your thing, and if the government officials have a problem, just say, yeah, I'm sorry, and then try to figure out whatever you have to do to appease them after the fact. It is easier than trying to get permission to do something. Although even better is just to do your thing and not have people up in your face. Okay, speaking of oiling chainsaw bars, did you know canola oil works? It's harmless to the environment and cheaper. Still, I have to buy oil over and over and keep doing it. But maybe I'll put canola oil in my chainsaw, because I'm still going to have a chainsaw. I guess I don't have to, but I'm still going to use a chainsaw to cut logs to sizes that I can move to get to the lumber mill and then cut. So I'm still going to use my chainsaw for that. The guy with the chainsaw video is brilliant. Well, I'll have to check it out then. Although sometimes when people tell me someone is brilliant, I watch and I'm like, this guy is not brilliant. That's happened a lot, actually, where I'm immediately like, there's a mistake right there, a glaring problem with like this person's character. Because they're not adventure builders. If you're not doing something illegal, you ain't having fun. Merry Christmas, Jaimie and family. Okay, I'm over 2 hours here. I think I'm gonna take off a second. Let me just get through the rest of these videos. When I started watching this chainsaw lumber mill video, I had the same thoughts like you. Not worth watching. Let me skip parts. Okay. I realize it's a good idea, and yes, it cuts. Oh, then it got my interest. Okay. Sounds like the giant robot schoolhouse is going to need a laser saw. Laser saw, yeah. That'd be great. Okay, this is talking about a chainsaw. It cuts smooth. It's also portable for the huge logs you can move to the lumber mill. So yeah. I don't want to have a chainsaw that uses gasoline, so I'm not going to have something portable that I'm going to take with me, and I'm not going to cart a bunch of solar panels with me, so that's not relevant. But the And the other thing is you got to keep sharpening a chainsaw. And it's going to cut flat-ish, but I don't imagine a chainsaw will cut as flat a surface as like a carbide tip circular saw blade. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never seen it. Even using like a guided chainsaw that's like on a thing, you know. This stream is so much fun. Put a sail on the shark slicer. I've been thinking about it. The thing is, the winds are so unreliable, like unpredictable here. Like they change a lot. So sailing is a little tricky. Question: I thought one of your electric boats was going to incorporate a sailing element. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I always tell myself that I am brilliant. Then I fix what I messed up. I don't tell myself that I'm brilliant. I'm just whoever I am. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go, I don't know, I'm going to go eat something now because I haven't eaten anything in a while. And I hope everyone is having an excellent day. Go hug your family and give everyone love. And then remember that tomorrow, even though it's not Christmas, you can still hug everyone and give them lots of love anyway. And the next day after that, and the next day after that. And we can just do that all the time, and that sounds great. Okay, I hope everyone has a marvelous day. And we're still talking about chainsaw mills. If you use a ripping chainsaw mill, you get a smooth, you can cut almost as smooth as a circular mill. Okay, so with a chainsaw, in the optimal circumstances, you can almost get as smooth as a circular saw blade. Well, I'm just gonna go with the circular saw blade then, yeah. Okay, thanks for keeping it real. Yes, enough with the chainsaw. Ain't happening. Yes, it's not happening. I mean, other people are using a chainsaw for the thing, but I already started building the thing I'm building, and I'm happy with it. Okay, Automatic, happy Christmas. Everyone have a wonderful day, and I hope you give lots of love to your people. And I am getting out of here. Can't wait for more videos. I will be putting more up soon. Okay.